I think then you can look forward to every day. You wake up and you say, yes, even though I might be facing some stressful situations or whatever today,
Mm.
I can get through this day because I have joy. I found joy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just will help people embrace their day. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Yeah. I like
It's,
what you said. You said, if we can have more joy in our day, it can help us wake up and say yes, rather than waking up and saying, I guess I was very clearly picturing the opposite of that, which doesn't feel great,
yeah.
waking up and not being excited about the day, or just feeling really heavy. And um, hmm. So what would your clients say? So the clients that you've identified, um, wanting to work with, the moms
Mm-hmm.
who are stuck between martyrhood and like complete neglect of their family. Those are the only two choices they can see in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
What would they say about joy from where they're standing?
I think they would probably say in an ideal world,
Mm-hmm.
but not in my.
Wow, it's like that's not part of their reality. They're like deserving reality at all.
Right.
Ideal. So in an ideal world, they would build a life, build more joy into their lives. Or
Yes.
in an ideal world, that would be a priority for them.
Yes.
Okay. But in their world now, so how does it play in their, what is it like in their world now?
They're very stressed.
Mm-hmm.
They feel very overwhelmed. Probably don't have healthy habits.
And what does that mean?
I think they probably aren't, sleeping well, eating well, because they're probably on the go, focused on everybody else. So, yeah, I think they just are feeling they don't do self-care as far as not even sitting down to eat nutritiously. I don't know. I'm kind of just thinking off the top of my head. I think right now in their world they wake up and they probably hit the snooze button so many times because they really don't want to get up. They're feeling too, they dread the day.
And what would they, related to joy, what would they want instead? What seems impossible to dream about, but they secretly like, the reason they're calling is because secretly they think it's possible, even though they don't want it. Like admitting it to anybody would feel like abandoning their family or something like that.
Yeah.
How would they want to feel if they could wave a magic wand?
I'm not sure that I understand, but in other words, they would want to feel excited about waking up in the day. And it almost even just the fact that they have joy, that's energizing to them. Am I headed in the right direction?
I'm just exploring, so there's no right or wrong direction. I just want to hear what you and your clients experience around this value.
I think that they would also be confident in their priorities, confident in the way they are spending their time management. I think one of the things that would bring joy is just a sense that I know who I am, and I know how I don't know.
What were you going to say? I know who I am, and I know it might not feel right.
Okay, I know who I am, and I know how I am in relationship to other people, like my family.
Mm-hmm.
I know how I am in my relationship with them. In other words, it's intentional. It's intentional. I'm not just flying off the cuff every day, stressed and
Mm-hmm.
or I'm so career driven that I feel I'm neglecting people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those in my family, but that I feel like I have intentionally become aware of each of my connection with everybody else, so that I can be confident in the way that I'm spending my time. In other words, I may miss that basketball game today because of an important work meeting or because I'm out of town, but next week I'm going to 2 basketball games. You know, I don't know.
So yeah, it sounds, what I'm hearing is that joy for your clients, joy feels like like a luxury. Joy feels like a luxury.
Yes.
But what you're saying is joy is a necessity.
Yes.
And that it isn't, you're not just a joyless martyr or like a selfish, like self-luxuriating, I don't know, neglectful mother.
Yeah.
But there's a place in between that you want to help people to get to, where they're intentional about their choices, intentional about, building joy into their lives and therefore having it trickle out into their families' lives. And that joy for them really comes through connection and being present, it sounds like, a lot of the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, I like, what did we say? I'm recording this, so you'll get this too, and I'm taking some notes so I can send that. I think if you were to put this, let's say, do you have a website already?
No.
Oh.
I purchased it, but I haven't even
put anything on it yet? Well, so it's in practical terms, when you're ready to put stuff on your website, you could, on your about page, do a little introduction about yourself, and then if it feels good, talk about these values: authenticity, joy, creativity, gratitude, or if you do deeper work to identify slightly different ones, talk about those values. And those and how they inform your approach and why you do this work. So what we've talked about with joy, it sounds like that's such a pervasive problem that a lot of moms are having by the time that they get to you, and you really want to help them bring that back, bring joy back into their lives, feel like they deserve it, feel they can be intentional about it, and help them feel like it's not intentionally bringing joy into your life is not a selfish thing.
Yeah. Very good.
Cool. Oh, I love that. What were we saying? Joy isn't a luxury.
Not a luxury, but a necessity.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to send these notes to you after the call, but you'll also have this recording.
Okay.
In case that's helpful.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So does that give you an idea of how you might expand upon that on your site, or each of the different ones, each of the different values on your site?
Yes, I think For some reason the water just seems clearer. I don't know why it was really holding me back, but I've owned this website for about 6 months, and I just keep stuck. So this is awesome.
Cool.
Very good. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for volunteering and showing up and being open to chatting with me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have any brand values that they've discovered in the last week that they want to chat about and do this exercise, talk a little bit more about it with someone? If you do, you can type in the chat and I'll unmute you. And if not, I also have a question from Monique, which was, Monique asked before the call, can you have more than one brand? And you can. Monique, if you're willing, I'd love to talk a little more deeply about like the background of your question and see if I can answer it. See if I can answer it in detail for you. Are you willing to hop on? No? Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
All right. So the reason behind the question, well, I was thinking of other brands and how you sometimes have a, like, I guess I think of like Coca-Cola has more than one brand on its umbrella. It has Sprite, it has all that. Or you have stores that have a good brand, a good quality brand, and they have a knockoff brand, if that makes sense. And so I was thinking of, is it possible to have more than one brand in the sense of you doing more than one thing? And so you may have two different brands to represent each.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do?
Right now, I am a school-based service for agency, so I haven't even gotten really started yet in the private practice stuff. I have noticed lately, thinking about it over the last year, that I'm more drawn to trauma clients. I know that like all the trainers I go to are trauma related, like the EMDR stuff, the Centray, the play therapy. So I've noticed that I'm more drawn to that number type of clients more so than the other clients I deal with. But I don't think I want to just have just trauma. I think that'd be too much for me. That'd be just too overwhelming dealing with all that and hearing all that. I think it'll be too much.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I know I want to do that, but I was trying to figure out another way to balance that where I'm not just overwhelmed with just having all that throughout the day. If that makes sense.
So, but you haven't figured out what that other
no.
Yeah. Well, when you do, it depends how different they are. But if it's all therapy and it's all going through you as the therapist, then what I would imagine is that your brand as a therapist would be, I'm Monique. I'm a therapist who helps people with trauma and this other thing. So unless if the other thing is like a completely different venture outside of therapy, or requires a completely different approach from you, then I would probably separate them. So if, for example, so you have Monique, trauma therapist, and that requires like a part of you that's very let's just say it's very soft, for example. And if you choose to do another thing that's like Monique, what would be something completely opposite? Let's say you do Monique couples therapy, and you want to turn up the volume on a different part of your personality that's completely at odds with the trauma therapist you. I don't imagine that's not very common, because usually therapists, show up, have a similar presentation wherever they're practicing. But just as an example, if that were to happen, then you would probably separate those into different two different websites, two different outreach strategies, two different brands. But I imagine for you, it'll be a similar, for you and for most therapists, it would be a similar approach.
So would it be like, so will it be more like if I decided to do the trauma therapy and then did something maybe like life coaching or executive coaching, whatever, would that be different enough?
Well, coaching, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, there are a couple of other resources on whether or not you should separate your coaching website from your therapy website as a legal question. I would encourage you to look at those. I think I'll put them in the link for this recording. Yeah, there was a webinar a couple of weeks ago with a woman named Carrie Nola, and then a lawyer whose name is Lisa Fraley. I don't know if you're on any of their lists, but they were talking about that specifically from a legal perspective. But from a branding perspective, yeah, again, if you're going to present very different facets of yourself to those two different audiences, then I would separate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, Kelly has a question. Your challenge has been committing to any one particular set of words. I'm just not very clear on niche brand. Even with this list, I still have over 150 words because I'm attached to them all. I can relate to that. As a word lover. Kelly, do you feel like hopping on the line? If so, unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. So you have over 150 words to pick through.
Yeah, I still have it's like still a huge list. I'm like, I don't even know what the right amount of words I should have left. Like,
I would say somewhere between, so some people have 2. I've seen some people have 9, and that not feel too overwhelming. I would say probably not more than 10.
Okay.
And even within the 9 or 10, they're probably all part of the same family. Like they have a similar feel. Let's see, a suggestion for culling words. And you did like the exercise about whittling down like your words, your personal words, and then to your business, and then to your clients.
I did.
Yeah. Whoa, that's awesome.
I should probably do it again.
Well, so you said you're not very clear on your niche. Who are you in private practice already?
In theory, I have a business that's open, but I'm not seeing clients yet. Well, not paying clients.
Okay. And who's your audience there?
I think that's been my problem. Like, the non-paying clients that I have mostly been people working on professional development stuff. Just building confidence, learning more about mindset and personal development and how that affects what you do at work. Ideally, I would like to be more of a Christian counselor, spiritual coach, working with people who have some maybe feeling stuck in life and wanting to go deeper in their relationship with God. But I'm having a hard time. So when I quit my job last year, it was really easy for me to explain what I wanted to do. Okay. But in the last 9 months, it's become very, very hard.
Oh, well, so when you quit your job, what were you saying?
When I quit my job, I was telling people that I was actually looking to work with people like myself who had worked maybe professionally for a long time, did really well, but really, like, outside they looked like they were doing a good job, and that everything was okay, but inside they really were just stuck and very unfulfilled. And was trying to and just wanted to navigate that path. So I was telling people something along those lines. Like helping people professionally and spiritually just find their way to fulfill.
I'm going to write that down. Do you have a website already?
I do.
Okay. Can I take a peek at it?
Yeah, it's wisdom, the number 4, thejourney.com. Waiting for it to load.
I think because I'm on Zoom. Okay. I don't know if folks can see your site or not. I think I'm just sharing one screen. So what? So I think the first, since you have like all these words and you're wanting to hone them down, I would start by committing to the niche that you want to commit to. So you said you wanted to do Christian counseling, and I love what you said about helping people professionally and spiritually find their way to fulfillment. And so on your site, it looks like you mentioned church. It doesn't specifically say Christian counseling on there. Are you comfortable? Because I imagine people use that phrase to Google therapists.
Okay.
If you're feeling brave about honing in on this niche, then I would use the language that you used in talking to me about what you want to focus on, and put that.
Okay.
On your side.
Okay. So just like out there, say on the first page somewhere, Christian counseling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's unless if that's what really brings you life, and those are the people that you that's the work that you are energized by, and those are the people who have great outcomes with you. Yeah. So it sounds like it is.
Yeah.
Then I would commit to it. And then through there, what are some of the words that you have on your list? Can you read off like 20 of them, like the first 20?
First 20.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me pull it back up. How do I get my stuff? I don't know how to get back to my screen.
Oh, you can press escape, and then it should go back to your screen.
Okay. So
While you're looking for it, by the way, I love this Oprah quote that you have on your site that says, "Turn your wounds into wisdom."
Oh.
Good quote, especially for counseling.
It's my thing. So, oh, excuse me. I have I know I have accomplishment, acceptance. So acceptance, accomplishment, accountability, balance, beauty, celebration, change, choice, communication, dependability, desire, direction, education, encouragement, empathy, faith, family, fearless, generosity, gentleness, genuineness, happiness, hard work, harmony, health, holistic approach, joy, kindness, knowledge, meaningfulness, mercy, mindfulness. I added intentional, resourcefulness, self-compassion, self-responsibility, self-awareness, and I really could go on.
Yeah. So actually, I think one approach I would try, if you have anybody who has a bunch of who can't like narrow them down, is try to group them into a handful of smaller groups.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, so like group them in a way that's meaningful to you. Like maybe empathy and genuineness go in the same group.
Okay.
For some, or however they relate to you. I would group them, and then of those groups, pick the one word out of that group that you feel that can represent that whole group.
Okay.
And then you can use the rest of the words in there to like fill out the rest of your like copy around that. You can just pick one word out of those groups, and then it's not like you can't use the other words on your website or when you're talking to other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. Like one word would be the keyword, and the other would be like fillers for different documents. I'm not
Yeah. Yeah. Like
okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
And then Tracy had a question. So Tracy says, I think I'm honing into a niche, and I have a list of values that I also would like help with trying to figure out how to use your values to describe how I work and who I am. I imagine that values are incorporated into an About Me page. Is this right? That is correct, Tracy. If you want to hop on the line and chat a bit, I would welcome that as well. I think I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to talk to you.
You too.
You're probably like a couple miles away from me.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do right now actually is share my whole screen and show you a couple of about pages off the top of my head that that people have incorporated their values into. So the first is Sarah Kate Olorka. Wait for that to load. Under her about page. So this is Sarah Kate. She was a client of mine, and her about page starts with like a little bit about working together. She has her education and a few background bullet points over here. And then the way that she organizes her about page is after that, talks a bit more about her approach to counseling. So authenticity and what that means to her and her clients and her work, like the questions that she asks in her work, autonomy, what that means to her clients, communication, why that's important to her, and then courage, why that's important to her. So so you can incorporate them into an about page, just like that.
Nice. I
I
like that.
What other? Do you have any questions about that?
No, that looks great. Yeah. I think I was struggling. I was writing my ATP today for business school boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the part that you're writing sort of about the way that you work and kind of what you have to offer.
Uh-huh.
I had gotten your values sheet that morning, and I think I was trying to put the values in there, and it wasn't quite going. I think I was like, I found myself writing about the values, but it felt weird to kind of name it as such, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was trying to just like demonstrate the values and the way that I work.
Yeah. They definitely you can put them on your site, or you can just hold them like as part of your foundation for your business and know how they infuse everything. So it sounds like that's that infusing but not like explicit use is how you're using them for
I think for now that was what was making sense, because I think it felt a little clunky when I was writing it in that way, but I like the idea. And I guess that's a question I have is, these values then translate into your brand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then for this client, her brand values, joy, autonomy, bravery, common humanity. The collection of them is how we chose pictures for her brand, and how we chose fonts and colors. So
I see.
So they can inform your brand visually as well as verbally.
Okay.
And then since they're a part of you, they're already like the way that you welcome your clients into your practice is infused with those values. Your sessions, of course, and then you can get more creative and inspired about how they can, like what other offerings or ways that you interact with partners and stuff like that, how they can be infused. So like if joy was one of your brand values, maybe that means, I'm just gonna bring a bunch of cupcakes to this this partner meeting, because how happy is that?
Right.
So what are the ones that you're mulling over?
So I have, I have 18.
Awesome.
Okay.
I love all these folks that can't kill off their darlings. I gotta have them all. They're so good.
Yeah.
And what are
okay, so it's bravery, complexity, curiosity, creativity, cultural responsiveness, empowerment, fluidity, grit, groundedness, healing, levity, people-centered, radicalness, self-compassion, the journey, thoughtfulness, transparency, and uniqueness.
Well, those feel like a cool collection. Those also
Thanks.
feel, knowing that you live in Oakland.
Yeah.
Very Oakland too. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, right, sort of my ideal client is sort of like radicals, hippies, creatives, and queers. And, sort of folks, just outsiders or misfits. And so, and then, I do trauma work. So, and sort of trying to write to the way that usually shows up for people. And maybe it's like historic, like childhood trauma, but they don't even know that that's what it is, but they just sort of know the way that that's coming out in relationships and at work, or, not being able to move to whatever next thing that they want to be moving to, or, kind of like holding themselves back.
Yeah. Gosh, that's such like, it just stirs me, that kind of work, or the importance of your work. Yeah. I feel like the suggestion that I talked with Kelly about might be a cool one for you to use too.
Okay.
To sort of group them down into ones that you can like memorize for yourself, like holding your hand.
Right.
18 feels like a lot to try to keep track of.
Yes.
But I think getting them down to a handful of those core ones will be some cool work for you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for hopping on and
yes,
being open.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Cool. Let's check the time. 5:19, so we have about 10 minutes. If anybody else has any final questions they want to ask, feel free to just unmute yourself or type in the chat. I think we've got phone folks. I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself on the phone, so I'm just going to unmute you on the top. Yeah. Let's see a little bit, see if anyone's taking anything. In the meantime, let's see if we got any more questions. Doesn't look like it. No. Hello? Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. It seems like that's the last of our questions. If anybody else has questions coming up after, I'm sure you got all of these resources and you're like, oh God, I don't have time for all of them. I'm living my life, Nicole. So as you work through them over the coming weeks or days, feel free to send me a question, and we can do this again. In the meantime, take good care, and thanks again for spending time on your brands with me today.